This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Up, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you, as I love to do every weekday, not only over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, 250-plus markets across the United States of America, not only on ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80, but also simulcast live on ESPN News. Day 3 of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN News, coming right at you. Again, as I love to do every weekday. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. By the way, become a new card member, and Discover Card will match all the cash back you've earned, dollar for dollar, at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply, of course. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Lots of stuff to get into today, okay? The situation down at Maryland, I've got some things to say about that. Kyle Kuzma for the Los Angeles Lakers, feeling underestimated and underappreciated. We're going to talk about that. Big Ben Roethlisberger in concussion protocol. We'll talk about that. Jalen Ramsey for the Jacksonville Jaguars, talking smack about everybody. We'll talk about that. But the first order of business is a two-parter involving Josh Norman for the Washington Redskins. Josh Norman is one of the elite corners in the game. Is he the best? No. Is he up there? You're damn right he is. He's a guy that the Carolina Panthers and Mr. Dave Gettleman of the New York Giants, former GM for the Carolina Panthers, should have never let go of, by the way. That same Josh Norman who played for the Carolina Panthers, who helped them get to a Super Bowl before they lost to the Denver Broncos. That same Josh Norman who thought he was going to get a contract extension with the Carolina Panthers, only to get jobbed before landing in the nation's capital with Daniel Snyder for $75 million. That same Josh Norman who used to go head up against Odell Beckham Jr., fisticuffs on a football field with helmets and shoulder pads on, punching each other in the head with equipment on, made absolutely no sense whatsoever. That same Josh Norman practiced with the Washington Redskins against the New York Jets yesterday. And Josh Norman had a few things to say, primarily about Sam Darnold. And it's got New Yorkers giddy. I mean, everybody is just giddy and smiles in their face, cheesing like George Foreman. You know what I'm saying? This is what everybody's doing. I don't know if they're looking like George Foreman or Martin Lawrence. When you're talking about, this comedy show, when you talk about everybody smiling, you just smile at it. That's what they were doing. Everybody's talking about it. All because Josh Norman said this about Sam Darnold.
You go out here and you see him make these throws, I'm like, all right, it's not so much of a college level throw. This little kid is not making mistakes. And he's really accurate. It's kind of like, dang. You get rookies in here and you're trying to mess with them and bait them a little bit and thinking that he's going to throw a route that, you can make a play on, and he's not having it. And it's so crazy to see that at an early age.
First of all, the Jets and the Redskins play tomorrow night on ESPN. Make sure you tune in. That's first things first. Secondly, and more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not that excited. I'm just not that excited. No, don't laugh at me. It's the truth. That's how I feel. And I was arguing with my brother, Ryan Clark, our NFL analyst extraordinaire, who was on First Take this morning on ESPN with me. I was arguing with him about it this morning, and I told him, who is a Super Bowl champion, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who also sat up there and turned on the Pittsburgh Steelers by showing up to play for the Redskins for 1 year. I called Ryan Clark a turncoat. That same Ryan Clark, who obviously played in the NFL, who obviously was a pretty damn good player, who obviously is a Super Bowl champion, who obviously works for our family here at ESPN, I told him he was unqualified to discuss this subject matter. And I'm going to say that to anybody who wants to open their mouth about these New York Jets and what Josh Norman had to say. There's one requirement and one requirement only. you must be a New Yorker. I take that back. A two-parter. A New Yorker or a diehard New York Jets fan. If you are not one or the other or both, you have no business discussing this subject. It is irrelevant to you. Mind your business. Stay out of it. Because here's the problem. I can appreciate the fact that Sam Darnold has looked good in a joint practice. I can appreciate the fact that a veteran like Josh Norman is speaking up on his behalf. Here's what I cannot appreciate. The fact that it's in a damn meaningless practice. When are you people going to wake up? New York is a different bubble. I get tired of people acting like, oh my God, you know what? It doesn't matter where you play. If you can play, you can play. I'm sorry. Pressure bust pipes in front of a packed, hostile crowd that knows it's football, that has had to endure years and years of mediocrity or worse. That bubble that is New York, the Mecca, the media capital of the world, where even cockroaches have opinions. You gotta perform. And performing in practice doesn't mean a damn thing to me in Florham Park. Very nice facility, by the way. I've been there. Jets had me come there one time to speak to the team. And by the way, the cafeteria food is marvelous. They're sensational. That's some of the best food I've eaten in a long time. Their practice facility is immaculate. The practice field is the same. The food in the cafeteria, these boys gonna eat now. No problem there. But that is not MetLife Stadium. That is not 80,000 people watching. That is not you getting booed the second you make a mistake. That is not with Tom Brady on the opposite side of the field. It is not with LaShawn McCoy on the opposite side of the field, even though we need to be careful about bringing his name up right now. It is not with the Miami Dolphins on the opposite end of the field. Now, if you're the New England Patriots, none of those opponents that I just mentioned, outside of the Patriots, who I mentioned, of course, because that would be going up against themselves, nobody else matters in the AFC East. We know who owns the AFC East. We know that. But if you're the New York Jets, everybody matters. You can lose to New England, you can lose to Miami, you can lose to Buffalo. This is New York, the Jets, a team that hasn't won a Super Bowl championship since 1969. A team that has been to AFC championship games back-to-back years with Bill Parcells, back-to-back years with Rex Ryan. No Super Bowl appearance, let alone a Super Bowl champion to show for it. The last time a quarterback was truly relevant for the New York Jets was Richard Todd. Most Jets fans wasn't even born at that time. Fireman Ed, wherever you are, the ultimate mascot, cheerleader, whatever you want to call him, for the New York Jets, my apologies to you, my brother from another mother. I love you. And I can't wait to see you stirring up those Jets fans this upcoming season. But damn it, I don't want to hear excitement about the Jets yet. I don't want to hear excitement over preseason. I don't want to hear excitement over joint practices. I don't want to hear excitement over something you saw at Florham Park. That doesn't mean anything when it comes to these New York Jets. Not with their horrid history of providing one disappointment after another. I believe in Todd Bowles as the coach. I believe in Mike McCagnon as the GM. But damn it, they can't go out on the field and play. And I love me Jamal Adams. Don't get me started with that, brother. Boy, do I love him. I'm not squashing or knocking any individual talent on the Jets. What I'm saying is they're almost the Dallas Cowboys East. What can go wrong will go wrong. Except unlike the Cowboys, the Jets don't have 5 Super Bowl titles on their resume to soften the blow of their ineptitude. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear no more about Josh Norman's comments applauding Sam Darnold. By the way, the same Sam Darnold who threw 13 interceptions last time we saw him throw a football, and that was in college. I like Sam Darnold. Some would argue he should have been a number 1 overall pick. I think he's going to be pretty damn good for the Jets. I'm hopeful so long as y'all don't jinx him. Shut up. Don't say anything. Just let them play. Because if you don't, you're going to get in the way. Trust me on this. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. That was one of the stories that I was determined to get into today. Story number 2. Did y'all see this stuff by Jalen Ramsey? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't give a damn what market you listening in. This is relevant stuff. Jalen Ramsey, this dude is a part of the number 1 defense and the number 1 secondary in all of football, the Jacksonville Jaguars. This brother's an all-pro cornerback. He is special. Make no mistake about it. He did an interview with a guy by the name of Clay Skipper for the August edition of GQ magazine. I always get jealous when these guys get interviewed by GQ magazine for one reason and one reason only. I'm GQ. I really don't understand, considering my wardrobe and how marvelous my wardrobe is, why I have never been interviewed by GQ magazine. I really don't get it, but we'll talk about that another time. And the only reason I bring that up as an aside is because that damn Kobe Bryant always reminds me of that. Anytime I have a problem with Kobe's wardrobe, particularly that time he came out looking like Gandhi, okay, with some white garb on or whatever the case may be, Kobe Bryant said, look, man, and man wasn't the word he used, by the way. The 2 words he used start with an M and then another started with an F. Okay? He said, look, I'm the only athlete in history that has been on the cover of GQ twice. Fall back. And all I could do was do my Austin Powers imitation, the spy with Shaq. And I went like this. Oh, damn. That's all I could say. Because it was Kobe Bryant reminded me of that about himself. And I really, really don't understand why GQ magazine has not interviewed me, considering how tight my wardrobe is. But I digress. I won't sit up there and lament that too much. I mean, especially when you consider the fact that 2 of my producers, in Jonathan and Nuno, might be some of the worst dressed dudes going. I'm with them all the time. I'm around them. How could you not see how fly my wardrobe is? Okay, I'm just saying. Michael Kay, John Ireland, Don LaGreca, others. I mean, listen, I love these brothers. They're smooth. They look good-looking guys. But wardrobe style, let's just say there's levels to this. And they're not on mine. But I digress again. Getting back to Jalen Ramsey. This dude called out everybody. Everybody. I mean, said Big Ben Roethlisberger, decent at best. Jimmy Garoppolo, not sure if I'm sold on the hype yet. Praised Deshaun Watson as a future MVP along with Carson Wentz. Gave them love. Jared Goff, average to above average. Dak Prescott, good, all right, okay. Called Kirk Cousins a competitor. Said Derek Carr was good despite his performance last year. Eli Manning, he said it's not really Eli. I think it's Odell Beckham Jr. I won't say Eli's good. I'll say Odell's good. And their connection is good. Oh, damn. 2-time Super Bowl champion. That's how he's talking about him. Praise Russell Wilson. Good leader too. Big Ben Roethlisberger. Decent. It's not Big Ben. It's Antonio Brown. Big Ben slings the ball a lot of the time. He just slings it and his receivers go get it. I played him twice last year, and he really disappointed me. Jalen Ramsey is in his 2nd year in the NFL. He hasn't missed a game. He's played 2 years in the NFL and said Big Ben Roethlisberger, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 3 Super Bowl appearances, he's decent. Eli Manning, 2-time Super Bowl champion. It's not really him, it's Odell. And he wasn't finished. He's a fan of Drew Brees. Andrew Luck. I don't really think he's that good. Ryan Tannehill, Miami. Don't know much about him. Matthew Stafford, Detroit. He do what he got to do. Phillip Rivers, pretty good. Matt Ryan for the Atlanta Falcons. Overrated. This is according to Jalen Ramsey of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Matt Ryan, he said, is overrated. Joe Flacco sucks. Now, I usually don't use those words over FCC airwaves, but damn it, I'm quoting. It ain't me, ESPN. It's Jalen Ramsey. I played them 2 years in a row talking about Joe Flacco. He sucks. He said it twice. Then said Lamar Jackson's going to be good. Very interesting. As for the number 1 overall pick, Baker Mayfield, he said if they want that type of quarterback, confident, get out of the pocket, throwing a run, big plays, charisma, then yeah, I understand Baker going number 1. He said Ramsey's commentary on a Mayfield pick led to a scorching hot take on Buffalo Bills rookie quarterback Josh Allen, whom the cornerback has attacked several times publicly since the draft. He says, quote, I think Buffalo Bills draft pick Josh Allen is trash. I don't care what nobody say. He's trash, and it's going to show, too. That's a stupid draft pick to me. We played them this year, and I'm excited as hell. I hope he's their starting quarterback. He played at Wyoming. Every time they played a big school like they played Iowa State, which is not a big school in my opinion because I went to Florida State, and he threw 5 interceptions, and they lost by a couple touchdowns or something like that. He never beat a big school. If you look at his games against big schools, it was always hella interceptions, hella turnovers. It's like, yo, if you're this good, why couldn't you do better? He fits that mold. He's a big, tall quarterback, big arm supposedly, but I don't see it personally. That's what he said about Josh Allen. Now, in the interest of full disclosure. Clearly, since these tweets started coming out, or these the tweets and the negative connotations started coming out since the draft, we all know the story about Josh Allen in the draft and how he said some incendiary things, racially insensitive things, et cetera, when he was younger. And folks expected his draft stock to completely plummet since that time. That is not what happened. He ultimately was picked, what was it, John, number 7 by Buffalo, I believe, if I remember correctly. And as a result, he went ahead of Josh Rosen. So as a result, somebody like Jalen Ramsey probably's got some attitude with him, but it don't mean he's wrong. Because Josh Allen's been throwing a few interceptions in practice. So we don't know. But listen, Jalen Ramsey and the Jacksonville Jaguars, they got the number 1 defense. It ain't like this brother cannot back up what he's saying. To me, based on his quotes, you know who I would love to see him go up against? I want to see him go up against Pittsburgh, and I want to see him go up against Atlanta. Because those are the 2 things that stood out in my mind more than anything else. The fact that he called out Big Ben Roethlisberger and Matt Ryan. I don't care what he said about Josh Allen. Joe Flacco, too. Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl champion. Jalen Ramsey said he sucks. Now, let's look at Jacksonville's schedule here. They're at the Giants to open the season. He did say that he wouldn't say Eli says Odell Beckham Jr., so he escaped that way because even if Eli ends up looking good, it'll be because he threw the ball to Odell in all likelihood. And he already gave Odell props without giving it to Eli. So you guess what? He insulated himself there. You got New England and Tennessee and the Jets at home. You're on the road at Kansas City. You're on the road at Dallas. You go up against Houston. You praise Deshaun Watson. You already praised Carson Wentz. You play Philadelphia and London on October 28th. You said Andrew Luck. You didn't say that he was that impressive. You go up against Andrew Luck November 11th. Let's make sure that I don't think he's that good. So you go up against Andrew Luck on November 11th. We got to watch that. You go up against Big Ben Roethlisberger the next week. He's got back-to-back weeks against Luck and then Big Ben Roethlisberger on November 18th. And then he gets Buffalo. So 3 quarterbacks that he talked about in unflattering terms, he goes against 3 consecutive weeks in Indy, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo from November 11th to November 25th. Oh, I'm sorry. A 4th week he goes up against Andrew Luck again. So those are 4 weeks we'll be watching Jalen Ramsey closely. November 11th, 18th, 25th, and December 2nd. Plus, he got Buffalo November 25th. That's what you got. So you see that going on. Jalen Ramsey has made this NFL season incredibly compelling. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. By the way, I did not forget the story at Maryland. The strength and conditioning coach, Rick Court, that didn't take Jordan McNair, the 19-year-old kid that passed away from heat stroke, that didn't take his temperature, that didn't put cold compressants on him. He resigned. The president of the university says they take legal and moral responsibility for Jordan McNair's passing. He also took the liberty of visiting the family of Jordan McNair, along with the athletic director. Very classy and responsible things to do. The coach, Durkin, is on administrative leave. I personally think he should lose his job. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't advocate people losing their job lightly. But Coach Durkin hired the strength and conditioning coach. His dropping of the ball was your dropping of the ball. And when you combine that with the culture that is lamented to be in existence, according to reports by ESPN, the coach appears to be the problem as much as the strength and conditioning coach. A matter of fact, one would argue that the coach is more of a problem than the strength and conditioning coach, because the strength and conditioning coach might have felt compelled to get results because of pressure emanating down from the coach. Either way you slice it, there's no way to clean this up. A 19-year-old kid is dead. A family lost a wonderful young man because somebody on the football staff was not responsible enough to ensure the well-being of a kid sent to that school by his parents because he was insured by the football program. They were insured by the football program that their kid would be taken care of. The coach has got to go. It's simple as that. We'll continue with Maryland as a subject, Jalen Ramsey, all the things he had to say, all the players he called out, plus Josh Norman praising Sam Darnold, and why I believe you shouldn't pay any attention to it. If you're a suffering New York Jets fan or a native New Yorker subjected to their, I don't even know the word to pick right now that would be appropriate. Bottom line is, let's not praise the Jets until they give us a reason to do so. Your calls and more up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm as happy as a clam.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will be, quote, as happy as a clam, unquote. The Geico legal team cannot accurately verify clams even experience the complex human emotional state known as happiness. As an invertebrate mollusk living half submerged on the ocean floor with no arms, legs, or wireless access, what's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today. Pronounced regionally as chowder. Chowder. Oh, that's so fun to say. What were we talking about again?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call up. That's 888-729-3776. By the way, number 3 golf in the world, Justin Thomas. He'll be on the show with us midway through hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. Make sure you don't miss it. Let's get to the phones. Let's go to my man JP. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me. What's going on?
What's up, team? What's up, team? Jalen Ramsey is the pastor of my church. He's the second pastor because actually my pastor is Reverend Lawrence Aker III. If he hear me sing Jalen Ramsey is my pastor, he's going to kill me. Okay. But he's the second pastor of my church. He knows what he's talking about. And I agree with you. I can't wait to see him play Pittsburgh and Atlanta.
I've got Jacksonville's schedule right in front of me. He doesn't have Atlanta on his schedule. He has he has Indianapolis twice. That's Andrew Luck, who he talked about. He has Pittsburgh. He has Indianapolis November 11th. He has Pittsburgh and Big Ben November 18th. He has Josh Allen and Buffalo November 25th. And then he has Andrew Luck again December 2nd.
Well, Andrew Luck, he's been hurt, so I can't really, vouch for what he said, but everything else he said, I have to agree with him. I want to see that Pittsburgh game. That's going to be the game for the ages. Now, Stephen A., real quick before you drop me. Stephen A., you made a powerful statement, just as powerful as Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, with us going to Washington. Every day I'm going to call a radio show and I'm going to ask you, when do we mobilize? When do we get this together? New York got your back.
Well, we got to remember something. Let's be clear about what I proposed. I'm saying that the protests that have been taking place in the NFL, it has amounted to pretty much nothing at this point. I'm not saying nothing's been accomplished from it, but it's amounted to pretty close to nothing at this point. The president successfully went about the business of hijacking the issue to the point where even Josh Norman, who just finished praising Sam Darnold, in the same breath talked and implored everybody to ignore the president. I'm not sure I agree with that because the president of the United States is pretty damn hard to ignore, considering the kind of power that he has to influence the lives of the American people. I don't think the presidency is something that you ignore. Okay, if you want to ignore the individual, fine, but you must respect and at least pay attention to the office because that's the country that we live in. Having said all of that, the point that I want to clarify and I want to make very, very clear, JP, is this. If the NFL players are really, really committed to addressing those issues they say they want to address and to creating change, how about on your off day, Tuesday, 30 of the 32 teams, because 2 teams play on Thursday night and they have work to do, but the other players who are all off, how about they descend and call upon others to support them, descending upon Washington to march on the steps of the nation's capital to address those very issues. The president wouldn't be able to point to the national anthem. Folks that want to bring up patriotism wouldn't have that to point to. Not that that argument was ever right, but nevertheless, it was hijacked to that degree. You would have the players. They would descend on Capitol Hill. They would speak. It would be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who joined to support them because of the issues they'd want to address and vow to do that on an annual basis until change is made, which is what Colin Kaepernick said his original reason was for kneeling. You kill 2 birds with 1 stone, per se. You address the issues, you bring the appropriate level of attention to it that it warrants and deserves, and you dismiss those who try to point to patriotism as an excuse to speak against those NFL players, and you're not protesting during the national anthem being played on a Sunday morning or a Sunday afternoon in an NFL stadium. It accomplishes all the goals.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Now we're going to start watching the people who's playing games, taking knees, during the national anthem. And we're going to talk about them, and we're going to let them know that they're not doing nothing. If they really want to do something, let's march. Let's mobilize. Let's get organized. We can't continue. Rosa Parks sat on.
I'll tell you this right now. I'll tell you this right now, JP, because I got to get ready to go. If the NFL players and people deciding to join them decided to march on Capitol Hill, I'll be there. And not only that, I'll do my radio show from there. I'll be there. I promise you that. I got to run, JP. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Let's go to Estes. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, Estes. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
I'm all right. I appreciate it. Stevie A love the kids. You know he does. But I can't hear them over the radio show, bro. I can't let that happen. Go ahead.
All right. I got a question, man, about my Lakers. I know you're about to talk about them coming up, right?
I did already. Go ahead.
What do you think about let me ask you this. How many minutes do you think LeBron will be playing at the 5, or do you think he'll start?
I don't know if he'll play how many minutes he'll play at the 5. I think that LeBron is good for 35 minutes a game. I don't think it's going to be the 37 or 39 that he did over the last couple of years, but I think it'll be about 35 minutes a game. I could see him playing some minutes at the 5 occasionally when Luke Walton wants to go small. But in the same breath, it doesn't matter. I believe the Lakers are going to win 50 to 53 games. They'll be a top 3 or 4 seed in the West, and they're going to advance at least to the Western Conference semifinals. That's what I believe about the Lakers this year.
My man. Well, now, is the Rockets going to play zone? I mean, they attacked Harden last year. Not the added Carmelo.
Well,
that's
listen,
not the strength
you got to
of his
remember
game.
with D'Antoni, as my man Jamie Foxx say, take the D out of D'Antoni, imitating me, calling himself Cleveland A. Smith, the half brother of Stephen A. Smith. You remember that Jamie Foxx doing that? Take the D out of D'Antoni, because after all of these years of play, he hasn't figured out that you have to play defense at some time. This is Jamie Foxx teasing me. That big head, oh boy, he gets on my nerves. I love him though. I love it. I really, really do. But seriously, in all seriousness, the bottom line is, D'Antoni's going to have to do something. Their defense is going to take a step back without Trevor Ariza and Luke Mbah-a-Moute. But it's going to take a huge step forward offensively, the Houston Rockets. And they're going to try to outscore you to win. And I'm not ignoring that. And Clint Capella being patrolling the paint the way that he does, you're usually going to beat Houston by hitting perimeter shots. And everybody ain't Golden State, so keep your eyes on that.
My man, appreciate your time.
Take it easy. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll continue talking Lakers, Jalen Ramsey, Josh Norman, NFL, NBA. The list goes on and on. Plus, Justin Thomas is coming on in hour number 2, number 3 golf in the world. So stick around. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show. By the way, top 3 players in fantasy football are easy for me. Todd Gurley, okay? Ezekiel Elliott, and David Johnson in Arizona. That's just me. More to Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Back to the phones we go at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Brody, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, Stephen A. How's it going today?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
I love your show. I love your work, man. I'm so happy to get through.
Thank
Just
you.
wanted to talk about this Maryland issue. Rosenberg said something yesterday on Michael Kay's show, and I really agree with it. There could be a rule across the board that I wouldn't oppose to. Someone dies on your football team, I think the whole staff's got to be cleared out. I know the head coach stepped down, but, man, this is something. Can you imagine the parents of a 19-year-old kid? This happened. Let me ask you a question.
Stop, Brody. Stop. Because you're engaging in hyperbole, and I'm going to call you on the carpet for that. This was Jordan McNair was an offensive lineman. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're the defensive coordinator and you're in the film room, okay, back in the building, and something like this happens, why should you lose your job?
No, I agree.
All
and
right,
really
then.
The
So again,
staff,
so don't say exactly. So you're talking medical staff. Okay, what if you are one of 5 members on the medical staff and you're in the building? What if you're using the bathroom and you got 2 other medical staff members out there and they drop the ball? You deserve to lose your job?
No, maybe not, Stephen A. But
then don't say that everybody should lose their job, that you should clean house. It starts with 2 people, the strength and conditioning coach and the head coach, because of what they've said about the culture. The culture, according to the players, was so perverse that ultimately it just gave you the impression that you had to go max out all the time and nobody gave a damn about your health, your well-being, or anything like that. That's what it said. That's why I said that strength and conditioning coach and the head coach.
Okay, yeah, no, I definitely could see that. The only thing, I just couldn't imagine seeing this guy, and they're getting the praise now for coming out and saying that they support and they defend and they take responsibility. Well, that's almost 2 months later. It's easy to say once it's in the public eye. If ESPN didn't do this reporting, at the beginning they weren't just jumping out there and saying this stuff. So I don't know. You're right, and maybe with some hyperbole I was using, but it's just tough to see someone go down.
Yeah,
this.
But I can't knock the president who's got other issues to deal with. He ain't paying attention to a practice session on the football field. He visited with the family, him and the athletic director, and they told the family we accept both legal and moral responsibility. That's a very profound statement on their part, and they deserve credit for that. I appreciate the call. Trey, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick. You're live with Stephen A.
How you doing, Stephen A? Big fan. Love the show.
Thank you. What's up?
I want to elaborate on the Jalen Ramsey. See, he's putting a lot of pressure on that offense and defense, man.
Yeah. What's your point?
I mean, it's just you can't be coming out and saying them type of things when you know. I mean, Blake Bortles in the sharpest. He looked good last year.
Wait a minute. He was talking about other quarterbacks. He wasn't talking about other defensive players that have to, or the offense that's putting them on the spot. He was talking about quarterbacks going up against his defense.
Right.
So he's in a position to back up what he says. I totally disagree with you. Totally.
Yes, sir.
Take it easy, bro. Have a good day. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. By the way, I got a question on my Instagram page right now. Instagram.com/Stephen A. Smith. I got a question up there for all of y'all to take a look at. Do the Eagles need Carson Wentz to get back to the Super Bowl? I asked that question because Eagle fans have disappointed me. I was only playing around when I caught you cockroaches on my first take this day. I don't mean that. I was just playing around. But I'm serious about this. Why the hell are you in panic mode? Why are you worried about whether or not Carson Wentz is going to be ready for the start of the season when you're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions? Your offensive line is one of the best in the game. You've got experienced receivers that are back from winning the Super Bowl. Plus your running backs in Ajayi and Clement. Plus your tight ends in Zach Ertz, Brent Selleck, and the crew. What's the problem? Why are you so nervous? And your backup quarterback was the one that completed 71% of his passes, threw 8 touchdowns, just 1 interception, had a 113 quarterback rating, and delivered you a Super Bowl championship and was the MVP. Why are you so nervous? Hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Coming at you in a minute. I'm here. Don't touch that dial.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Here with you over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, 250 plus markets across the country, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM channel 80. And obviously this is day 3 of ESPN, Stephen A. Smith ESPN Radio Show, simulcast live on ESPN News Television. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Surprise a friend or loved one today with a bouquet for 1-800-Flowers.com. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99, you'll get another dozen absolutely free. So go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Plus, I wanted to remind you all, I've got a poll up right now on my Instagram page, Instagram.com/Stephen A. Smith. And the poll question on Instagram is simple. Do the Philadelphia Eagles need Carson Wentz to get back to the Super Bowl? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, I don't think Carson Wentz is going to make that difference. Carson Wentz is gifted. Carson Wentz is special. I think Carson Wentz is going to be a star in the National Football League. I'm not poo-pooing any of that. But what I'm saying to you is based on what we saw from Nick Foles, I don't believe there's that big of a difference. Here's the reality of the situation if we really want to get down to it. If the Philadelphia Eagles if they ensure that the road to the Super Bowl must come through Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, I believe the Philadelphia Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl. If it doesn't, they're not. I don't think the Saints are coming into Philadelphia and beating the Eagles. I don't think the Los Angeles Rams are coming into Philadelphia and beating the Eagles. I don't think the Minnesota Vikings, we saw what the Eagles did to them in the NFC Championship game last year, and Kirk Cousins ain't going to make any damn difference when it comes to that. I firmly believe that. There is only one man, and one man only, who can go into Lincoln Financial Field and not be the least bit fazed by the heat the Philadelphia Eagles were throwing his direction. There's only one man who can do this. There's only one man who can stand up to that heat in Philadelphia and find a way to overcome it. There's only one man where no matter what the locale is, no matter how hostile the confines are, no matter how uncomfortable it is, no matter the inclement weather, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, if it's raining and snowing and sunshine, if you got a bunch of drunks throwing beer at him or a bunch of choir boys singing la 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 to him, it doesn't matter. There's only one man who can go into Philadelphia and sit up there and look them dead in their face with Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox and the rest of the crew and literally shrug them off his shoulder and say, mere bag of shells. There's only one man that can do that. And I'll give you a hint who that is. He's a bad man. Aaron Rodgers. That's it. There is no one else in the NFL, including the great, underappreciated, future Hall of Famer that is Drew Brees. There is no one, not even him, who would go into Philadelphia and beat the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field with a berth to the Super Bowl on the line in the NFC Conference. There's only one man that can do it, and his name is Aaron Rodgers. It's that simple. I don't see Green Bay having a better regular season record than the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't see the Green Bay Packers positioning themselves to have a playoff game against the Eagles at Lambeau Field with an NFC championship on the line. Could the Eagles lose before them? Certainly, it happens. But with a Super Bowl berth on the line, there's only one man that can get it done under such adverse circumstances. And he's a bad man. Aaron Rodgers. That's it. Nobody else. So let's be clear. Having said all of that, Philadelphia Eagles have Nick Foles. Now, we all know that Nick Foles had his resume contaminated, but that was because he was playing for Jeff Fisher. Look at the Los Angeles Rams offense with Jeff Fisher, and look at them a year later when Sean McVay took over. 1 year. That's how big of a difference Sean McVay was. That's why Jeff Fisher is out of the league forever as a head coach. I'm trying to tell you right now, I might go bald, voluntarily that is, if Jeff Fisher was to ever become a head coach of the NFL again. 16 years as a coach, 22 years as a coach, 16 years missing the playoffs. No. Only thing worse than Jeff Fisher getting a head coaching job is Marvin Lewis keeping his. Marvin Lewis, and ladies and gentlemen, I want to preface this comment. I'm a black man who has been a strong, unapologetic advocate for opportunities for African Americans in the sport of football and others as head coaches or executives for franchises. And I am telling you right now, if you need a protest, if you need a rally calling for Marvin Lewis to be fired, I'd be at the front of the line. Not for him as a head coach, because I think that he's knowledgeable enough about football, and he has taken the Cincinnati Bengals to the playoffs 7 times, including 5 straight years at one point. I think Marvin Lewis could be a head coach, and I'd have no problem with him being a head coach anywhere else, but not in Cincinnati. There is no coach alive that deserves to be a head coach for 15 straight years, having never won a playoff game. As far as I'm concerned, the Cincinnati Bengals have the worst ownership in the NFL. They are the ones who give their local fans the proverbial finger. They stick it right up in their face and they say, go kick rocks. We don't give a damn about what you think or how you feel. You mean nothing to us. Our priority is not winning. It's saving money. Because that's what keeping Marvin Lewis on the job as the head coach does. It's that simple. And I only say that not knowing the man at all on any level. I've only met him once in my life. I have nothing against Marvin Lewis other than the fact that he's never won a playoff game in 15 years. That is an atrocity. He could be a head coach anywhere else. He does not deserve to be the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals any longer. And it is a travesty that he still is. Period. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's the number to call up. That's 888-729-3776. In regards to my Instagram question, do the Eagles need Carson Wentz to get back to the Super Bowl? Tone_the_GOAT writes, they don't need him because Nick Showtime Foles, if played full season, would be a top 7 quarterback. Proven beast every shot. That's flagrantly inaccurate. He hasn't been a proven beast every shot. I just told you about his resume with Jeff Fisher. But he did throw 27 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions playing in Chip Kelly one year. And he is the reigning Super Bowl MVP and Super Bowl champion. So I got mad respect for Nick Foles. Chris_248 writes, Eagles definitely won't end up back in the Super Bowl this year. Not even a question. Okay. Polson Jake writes, with the example of last year's Super Bowl, as long as the receivers like Alshon Jeffrey are healthy and the defense is good to go, the Eagles could definitely make it back to the Super Bowl. Those were the Instagram responses. Now I'll get back to the phones. Let's go to it. Charles, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Yes, Steve, I'm looking at your show right now, and my addressing to you is, as you would use your words kind of taintly, which I like, is about this protest with the NFL and my boy Colin Kaepernick, who I work out with. What I want to address to you is taking it back to Kurt Flood and Tommy Smith and a few other brothers that had problems in various sports with what's happening right now in the country with Trump. I really believe that if certain brothers in that area would come together, this situation could be resolved real easily without a march.
Stop right there. I need you to be specific because you got a short period of time. You say certain brothers, I want names. Who are you talking about?
Point is this. If people came together like the way we went to football games and celebrated, it would be the same way in the country right now.
Stop. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm asking you, Charles, to give me names. When you say certain brothers should come together, who are you talking about?
From any sport, I would say from Jordan to Kobe.
Okay, all right. I just need a clarity. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, now my point is I would like to be that type of individual that would go around and advertise what you were talking about, talking to various players who aren't afraid of losing their jobs or their paychecks as far as characters is concerned. And I really believe that if you're not standing up for what you believe in, I don't think you should be playing.
Well, here's the deal. It's an NFL problem. Because the NBA players have stood for the national anthem. It's always been a part of their contract. And you didn't see anybody in the NBA take a knee. You didn't see anybody in Major League Baseball take a knee. You haven't seen anybody in the National Hockey League take a knee. So even though the issues that need to be addressed and have been addressed are very poignant issues, and we get all of that, the flip side to it is that the only league that has a problem over all of this is the National Football League. And I don't know if they're going to make it anybody else's problem. I don't know if anybody else is going to embrace it as their problem. So the NFL players essentially are going to be on their own.
Well, you know what? They need to be men and stop being mouses about this situation and handle it.
Well, you can't say that. You know why you can't say that, Charles? Because not even the NFL players are doing that. You got sporadic like 10, one time it's 20 dudes kneeling. Another time it's 10. Another time it's 5. Somebody's raising a fist, others taking a knee. Most aren't doing anything. So the NFL players aren't even on the same page. So I don't know if you can say that, sir.
Business, as Jay would say, those are cowards, man. That's just me being a former ball player from USC. We set history in 1972.
I appreciate that, but these are different times, and obviously the players feel differently. Then I respect where you're coming from, Charles. I'm not trying to diminish that in any way. But you could call them names all you want to. At the end of the day, you have an abundance of players that aren't taking a position. Part of it is for business-related matters, branding matters. Some people don't believe in what Colin Kaepernick was doing, and others, even if they do believe it, they say there's been an absence of a plan. And so what are we really doing here, and what's really the end game? And to me, guys like Colin Kaepernick and others need to be able to answer that question.
Well, you know what? If I ever saw you in person again like I did down at Staples by you going in ESPN, I'm going to have you vividly remember me because of the fact is that I should be on that board and I should be the one putting this together. But on that day, I want you to have a real good day.
All right,
and once again, it was a pleasure getting you on the phone.
God bless. Take it easy. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Mike. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hi, Stephen A. I agree with you that Trump hijacked the issue, and I like your idea of marching on Washington. I just had one other suggestion that might could help take the issue back.
Go ahead.
Might have already been mentioned.
Sure.
And that's that the players and the owners get together and the players say, okay, we're going to stand for the national anthem, but let's run an ad campaign that shows players and owners together saying, we the players, we the owners are contributing.
Well, here's what you're really saying.
X amount of money.
Here's what you're really saying, that the players and the owners have to be on the same page, and the NFL as a brand, as an entity, as a commodity, all have to be as one. It can't be divided. It can't be players against owners, the commissioner go vacillating back and forth between supporting the players 1 minute, supporting the owners the next, et cetera, et cetera. It has to be one voice, and it has to be the entity, the powerful brand that is the NFL speaking up in unanimity for one another. That's what it has to be. That's what you're saying.
Yes, they would have to agree to this. I think when this all started, then the owners say they were going to contribute a certain amount of money for the cause.
They did. That was for the Players Coalition, which was a different purpose than what Colin Kaepernick purportedly was aiming for. And that's why you have folks on the opposite ends of the spectrum. But I got to run. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Let's go to Daryl. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Daryl.
Yes, sir, Stephen A.
How are you, bro?
I wanted to talk about. I'm doing great today.
Right.
I wanted to talk about my man Jalen Ramsey. Man, I think he's on point, and I'm a Cowboys fan, but I love this dude's attitude. He reminds me of Chad Johnson when Chad made that list back in the day of all the corners he was going to go at and win at them and destroy them. I think you need that type of confidence to play cornerback in the NFL. And when he goes up against Eli or Big Ben or whoever's on the list that he named, I think he's looking to make a pick or make a blitz off the corner and lay one on them and let them know, I meant what I said. You trash.
I got you. I appreciate the call. Appreciate that perspective as well. Joe, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Thanks, Stephen A. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
A couple of quick questions for you. What is your take, to touch back on the baseball thing with the Astros and the domestic violence, what is your take on the fact that the players in the clubhouse took such exception to the fact about the domestic violence issue, but were perfectly okay with having an open racist on their team, dating back to the World Series when the guy made the facial expression as if he was going to mock you, Darvish?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to go by the facial expression because that kind of stuff is debatable from time to time. Secondly, I would tell you this: Major League Baseball did suspend that player for 75 games. When they brought him back and the Astros had picked him up, it was against the wishes of those players inside the clubhouse. Manager A.J. Hinch and others said that this is something that was foreign to them. They hadn't dealt with this before, but management and ownership elected to make this move. And so, again, it's the land of second chances. He apologized to the team, et cetera, et cetera. He served his penance, which was 75 games, cost himself an exorbitant amount of dollars. Now you go from here. At some point in time, Joe, I do think it's important to ask ourselves this question. First of all, we have to be clear. None of us condone domestic violence, particularly and especially against a woman. The bottom line is that we need to speak out about it. Society's rapt attention on this issue is a good thing because statistics show that 85% of the victims of domestic violence are women. So we certainly need to come to their aid in that regard. But having said all of that, with that reality being what it is, there does come a point in time where we have to ask ourselves the question, what do we do with someone who is guilty of such a thing but have paid their penance? Do we convict them for life and try to deny them opportunities to make a living in their chosen profession? Do we ostracize them from that chosen profession? Or do we just sit up there and say, hey, you know what? We're just going to move on. What do we do? That to me has to be the question once a penance is served. If somebody's been suspended for 75 games, which is half a season, and they've cost themselves millions of dollars, and their reputation has been irreparably stained, as it should be, what more should we want? I'm just asking the question.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I also feel that was kind of looked upon a little bit lightly because the fact that the other player happens to be Asian. And when people think about racism in this country, they tend to only stick to black and white more than anything.
Okay, that's fair.
But that's just my point on that. My other question was, yesterday you were talking about your top 7 projected running backs in the league this year. Mm-hmm. I couldn't figure out why you had Saquon Barkley in the discussion.
Why did not have him in the discussion? What do you mean I didn't have him in the discussion?
No, I can't figure out why you did, is what I mean.
Well, I'm just saying, well, here's why. He's the number 2 overall pick. He's 5'10", 233 pounds. His speed, his athleticism, his gifts as a running back is unquestionable. His ability to catch the football out of the backfield is something that's going to expect it to be utilized. Combine that with an experienced two-time Super Bowl champion who's only missed one start in 13 years, and that's because of that idiot Ben McAdoo benching him in Eli Manning. You've got Odell Beckham Jr. back. You've got Sterling Shepard back. You've got Evan Ingram in the lineup as well. So you're stacked. And because you're stacked in that regard, it's something that I think that he's going to help facilitate to make the offense even that much more potent. If Saquon Barkley were all by himself, you'd have a point. But the fact that he's expected to have help is something that I don't believe we can ignore. And as a result of that is why I'm projecting Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, assuming he comes back. Why can't Saquon Barkley be up in that mix with a guy like Kareem Hunt as well, and Alvin Kamara? I think we should pay attention to all of those guys.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, you could say, like you said, and I think the main word is projection, because you're right. You have an Odell Beckham coming back. When was the last time he played? You have an experienced quarterback who only missed one game because of an idiot coming back. So how good has he been the last couple of years? I understand they fixed
What
up
are you
the
talking about?
offensive
Well,
line.
again, if the Giants have buffered their offensive line, if your star wideout is coming back healthy, and if the biggest impediment to the team has been the combination of a suspect offensive line and no running game, and you drafted a dude number 2 overall, it's not like we got to wait to see like a quarterback because you got to throw the football, figure out defense and stuff like that. You running a football, you know how to run a football, you know how to run a damn football.
Yeah,
and that's why I think that people are looking at it and saying, excuse me, this is something we could look at and we could say, hey, this is something that the Giants might be absolutely fine with. I know big things are expected of Saquon Barkley, and I have absolutely no problem with it whatsoever. But I got to run, Joe. I appreciate the call. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We started off this week, our debut on ESPN News with the Stephen A. Smith Show, not just Sirius XM Channel 80 and not just 250-plus markets across the United States of America on the AM/FM dial. But we started our simulcast this week on ESPN News talking about golf. And now we've got one of the top golfers in the world, number 3 to be exact, Justin Thomas. He's up next with George Truly right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I should have done this years ago.
Disclaimer, traveling back in time is physically impossible unless you know how to build a functioning time machine. Then by all means, travel 25 years back in time, switch your car insurance to Geico. You could save a bunch of money. While you're there, please prevent your younger self from wearing that sleeveless tuxedo t-shirt, parachute pants, and glitter high tops to your senior prom. And at long last, rectify this horrible crime against nature. Geico is absolved of all liability if you destroy the fabric of time and space.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm going to get to my next guest in just a second. I wanted to start this segment off by saying something. You know, I just saw that video. I saw it a while ago, Robert Osuna for the Houston Astros. I didn't realize that was the same video. Lucky he only got 75 games. I saw that video, that domestic violence act. He deserved to be gone his career should be on the line after that nonsense. He should be in jail. I didn't realize that was the same video. Lord. Anyway, back to better things to discuss right here in the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, which is presented by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. On the line with me right now, he is the defending 2017 FedEx Cup champion on the PGA Tour and currently stands number 2 in the 2018 FedEx Cup standings and number 3 officially in the world golf rankings. The one and only Justin Thomas is on the line with yours truly. What's going on, Justin? How are you, man? How's everything going?
I'm great, Stephen A. How are you?
Man, first of all, thank you. It's an honor to have you. I really, really appreciate it. Talk to me about what, you were in contention last weekend at the PGA up to the end. Overall, were you happy with the way you played as the defending PGA champ? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I was, experience. I've been fortunate enough to try to defend a couple titles, but never a major. It was great. Obviously the crowds were out there for Tiger. Not exactly. I'm not even close to his stature, but it was really cool to get to play alongside him and Rory those first couple of days. And after not a great start on Thursday. I felt like I really hung in there well, and I had a great chance to win that tournament through 9 holes on Sunday, and I was glad to see Brooks kind of run away with it. It made me feel a little bit better about myself.
For those that may not understand, just break down for me a little bit for the golf novices like myself who watch it but don't really know it the way you have the way that aficionados really know it. Whether it's the PGA, the U.S. Open, the Masters, et cetera. I mean, when you go into a tournament like this, what's different about that compared not only, to other majors, but just to other tournaments overall? Explain the difference from a competitor's perspective for those that may not get it.
It's tough, but at the end of the day, it's kind of what I always tell myself. It's still golf. It's very cliche, but it is true. The low scorer still wins at the end of the week, but it's just there's a lot more people. Just the majors just kind of have a different buzz in the air. I don't know what it is. It's kind of hard to explain, but I mean, the amount of people that are at these tournaments, it's pretty unbelievable. And golf is the game of golf is in a great state right now, and it continues to grow so much each and every year, and it's pretty cool to be a part of.
We're talking to Justin Thomas, the number 3 golfer in the world, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. What was it like playing in the final round Sunday, knowing Tiger was in the hunt and the galleries he draws? What was that like?
It was cool. It was. I played a bunch with Tiger, but I never really competed in a major with him, so that was something that was new for me. It's unbelievable. The roars that you would hear throughout the course. I mean, the roars that you would hear just from his score getting changed on a scoreboard unless you truly experience it, it's pretty unbelievable. And I know obviously he's happy, but we're all happy to see him healthy and back because it's good for the game of golf.
Justin, it's interesting. I hear words like unbelievable. I hear, words like happy he's there and what have you. I remember one time I was speaking to somebody the other day, I think it was my man Max, and he was alluding to everybody talks about an intimidation factor. That might potentially exist in other sports, but in the sport of golf, there's no such thing. I was making the argument, you're damn right it is. There is such thing as intimidation. You can intimidate a competitor in a sport. I don't care what sport it is. Could you explain that at all? Do you think that that's true on my part? You can be intimidated even on a golf course.
Absolutely. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I hope I intimidate a lot of people out there. It's probably not because of my build or my height or anything, but yeah, that's the goal. I mean, when you're going down the stretch and you're competing against one other person, I mean, you want to intimidate them. You want them to be scared to play you. You want them to know that you're going to be tough to beat. And you don't do it by being cocky or arrogant or saying things you shouldn't. But you can do it with your golf game and your demeanor, and kind of you look at guys. Like Tiger, I think I've gotten there, but you look at guys like Rory, when he's playing well, or DJ, they just kind of have that strut, you know what I mean? And they walk around those courses kind of like they own it. And it's, it doesn't happen too often where you have total control of everything and you're kind of in those zones, but it's pretty fun when you do.
Justin Thomas, number 3 golf in the world, the reigning FedEx Cup champion, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. You got guys like yourself. I believe you're 25 years of age. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Spieth is 25. Koepka's 28. Rory McIlroy and Fowler, they're 29 years of age. There's no shortage of quality young golfers on the tour. But do you think collectively you guys have the potential to raise the sport to interest levels we saw that Tiger had generated when he was at his peak? Do you think that's possible, considering the gifts that you guys have at the age you guys are displaying it?
No, it's a good question, but it's I truly don't think that you can put anybody in the same boat as Tiger Woods. He truly, you can't put it into words what he is to the game of golf. It's unbelievable. Like I said earlier, the amount of people that go out to tournaments because he's playing. But the funny thing is the opportunity that we have though is that the kids growing up never watched the Tiger Woods that we watched growing up. So we have the opportunity to be that player, that guy that the kids look up to. And to me, that's a huge deal. I want to be a great role model to kids. I want to be, someone that they look up to, someone that they want to kind of idolize their game after, model their game after, kind of like I did with Tiger. So it's, it's something that we definitely have a great opportunity, but I don't think it's fair to ourselves to try to compare anything that we could do to Tiger.
Certainly not trying to get into this at all on a personal level with him about his business or anything like that. I don't roll like that. But I will ask the question that when you talk about being a role model, when you're talking about setting a shining example or whatever, does the sport of golf, does individuals like yourself and others feel an added level of pressure to do just that, considering what Tiger had gone through in previous years on a personal level?
I mean, you could look at it any way you want, but at the end of the day, we're all, we all have a brand, and that's something that's so, it's what I love about golf is that everything's on ourselves. Obviously players in basketball, football, whatever it may be, yeah, they still have their own brand and they still need to perform well, but, they have other team, their team is their brand. They're a whatever, company their team is associated with. So for us, we have all these sponsorships, we have all these deals, we have people that we're associated with, but it's all us. So we just try to do the best thing that we can. I mean, obviously we're out there to play good golf, and that's most important, but at the end of the day, we also need to try to grow our brand as well as we can, and kind of like what I was saying earlier, is to just do the best we can to be someone that people look up to.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, you guys have been playing some sensational golf. By the way, PGA Championship ratings were up 73% year over year. So that's a huge, huge plus for the sport, and make no mistake about it. Talking to Justin Thomas, the number 3 player in the world, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. By the way, the 4-part FedEx Cup playoffs are teeing off in just 2 weeks at the Northern Trust, and Justin Thomas will be defending his title as the reigning FedEx Cup champion. For the past 4 years, FedEx has donated $1 million to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in honor of the reigning FedEx Cup champion. The donations helps ensure families never receive a bill from St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital for treatment, travel, housing, or food, so they can focus on helping their child live. So that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Let me get back to you for a quick second before I let you get on out of here. Are you appearing on the Tonight Show? Are you about to show up there?
I sure am.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited.
Excuse me. What can we expect from you, my man? I want to know, because, listen, they're talking about laughs late night now. This is why I'm not on late night television. I make people laugh, but it's by accident, Justin. It's not on purpose. It's by accident. What about you?
Everyone would love to see you get all riled up, Stephen. That'd be some good TV.
So you looking forward to it?
I am. It's, it's just another great opportunity that golf has kind of given me, and, it's obviously going to be a fun night for me, but it's not about me. It's about kind of spreading, like you said, spreading the awareness with FedEx and St. Jude, and just it's unbelievable. I'm really excited to go play the tournament in Memphis, the WGC next year, and have the opportunity to go to St. Jude Hospital. I've heard so many great things in the past players that have done it, and it'll be a cool experience for me and very humbling, I'm sure. So but yeah, tonight's all about that, and it'll be a cool experience for me. So
absolutely, a great thing, no question about it. Before I let you get on out of here, what can we expect from you in the FedEx Cup playoffs? What can we expect to see from you this? After all, you are the defending champion.
I hope that you can expect me holding a couple trophies. That'd be ideally the situation, but you never know in this game. That's the hard part about it. But I'm just trying to kind of do what I did last year, just get rested, and so I can kind of peak this time of year, because it's very beneficial for myself if I do. So I'm excited, and we've got a lot of good players that are playing really well, and should be for some great drama as always.
By the way, before I let you get on out of here, I know you're a golfer and that's your sport, but what are you looking forward to most, the NFL season or the upcoming NBA season? Which one of the two?
Neither. I want some college football. I want to see my Crimson Tide get after it again. Okay. I love football so much.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
That's exactly right.
All right, I'm putting you on the spot. You think Jalen Hurts should be quarterbacking, or are you all about Tua? Which one?
Man, you're the second person to do this to me. This is brutal. I don't have a problem with either one of them starting. Whatever that big guy they call Coach Saban says, I got pretty good faith in him. But I like Tua. What he did in that game was unbelievable. And I mean, they're both great quarterbacks, but you never know just what that did for Tua's confidence. And you know, you never know. As long as we keep winning games and show up in that national championship game, I don't care if I'm starting a quarterback. That's fine with me.
Okay. By the way, how was Nick Saban's golf game? I heard he's played golf with you. How's his golf game?
He's good. He's good. I really respect him.
How's he good? When does he have the time? When does he have the time? How is he good, Justin? When does he have the time?
He comes out in the afternoons to our facility, and Coach Sewell, our golf coach, is actually his coach. So so he'd come out there and we'd have a good time and kind of yuck it up with him for a little bit because that's kind of his opportunity to get away from football.
I got you. Justin Thomas, man, appreciate you making out the time out of your busy schedule. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on board, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. The one and only Justin Thomas, the number 3 player in the world in the sport of golf, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 888-SAY-ESPN. We'll close the show with your calls in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Let's go to Brian. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, Stephen A., how you doing? I just want to say, first of all, I have the utmost respect for you, man.
Thank you.
And next, I want to say that I am not one of them Philadelphia Eagles fans who are worried about the Philadelphia Eagles repeating next year.
Okay.
And just to the Philadelphia Eagles fans in Philadelphia, just like last year, this year is next man up. Always remember that. Thank you, Stephen A. That was my statement.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day, my man. Anthony, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead real quick.
Hey, Stephen A. Big fan of the show. Even bigger fan of the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. So I wanted to know what you think they need to do defensively in terms of overall in the NFL, where they need to be to give Aaron Rodgers and the Packers a legitimate shot.
Want me to tell you what the Green Bay Packers need right now?
Bowl.
Want me to tell you what the Green Bay Packers need right now? They need to trade for Khalil Mack.
Would you trade both number 1 picks? I say
no,
absolutely.
I'm not giving up 2. I'll give up 1, but I'm not giving up 2. I'm not giving up 2 number 1 picks for Khalil Mack. I'm not doing that. But I'd give up 1 pick for him. Yes.
Both of
not
them are
2.
Towards the back end of the first round?
Well, listen, I'm not giving up 2 first-round picks. They tell me that's so valuable in the NFL. I'm holding on to both. But we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Keith, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Keith, go ahead.
Yeah, Stephen A., I wonder do you think Jay Gruden can lead the Washington Redskins to the playoffs?
Hell no. Next question.
Shit.
Watch your mouth. But no, I don't believe that Jay Gruden can lead the Washington Redskins to the playoffs in this year's NFC East. I don't see it happening. I think the Giants are going to be vastly improved. I think the Cowboys, their receivers will be better because Des Bryant and Jason Witten are gone. Not to knock or poo-poo any of them, but they both clearly had lost the step. Jason Witten's time was gone. He knew that. That's why he's doing that Monday Night Football for us. And Des Bryant, that's why he's had a hard time finding a job. Then again, Des Bryant didn't return New Orleans Saints phone calls from what I was told. He's going to Cleveland. I think he should be in Houston or Green Bay. And we know that Philadelphia Eagles are going to be legit. So my attitude is very, very simple. I think the Redskins are coming in last place. And Geist, their number 1, their 2nd round pick, he's out for the year with an ACL injury. I just don't see the Redskins being relevant this year. I really, really don't. And I know Alex Smith it doesn't turn the ball over. I get all of that. But is he really an upgrade from Kirk Cousins? I don't necessarily think so. They're both relatively pedestrian as far as I'm concerned.